Hello everyone and welcome to another game from round 9, the last round of the GRENKE Chess Classic 2019. We mentioned we were going to show another game as we do have to show the standings, and of all the games I've chosen this one as I wanted to show as much games as possible played by young Vincent Keymer, and this one is well, really interesting. So I do hope you enjoy it. We do have some nice footage from the GRENKE Chess Classic video team, so let's enjoy that for a brief moment. Here we have some nice footage of Paco, a relatively short one, but you know, we work with what we have. And here we have some footage of Vincent. There you have it. Adjusting the brightness seems to be. There we go. It's a bit of a longer clip, but the camera will zoom out so you can also see the position. There you go. Alright, so I do hope you enjoyed that. Now let's check out the game. It's really interesting, really enjoyable Benoni, so let's just check it out. Keymer has the white pieces and he opens with d4. It seems that Keymer opens every game with the d4 with white, and I really like that because he's very young and he wants a fight. So he basically says black can choose whatever system he wants to play. We have knight to f6, c4, now we have e6, knight to f3, and c5. So preparing the Benoni, d5, and now d6 first, not capturing immediately. Knight to c3, e captures on d5, c captures on d5, and we have the standard setup of the Benoni defense. g6 by Paco, we have h6, and now bishop to g7. And Vincent goes for this now pretty much the most popular line against the Benoni, which goes with h3, e4, and the bishop to d3. So e4, defending the d5 pawn, also grabbing more space in the center. We have castles by Paco, and now bishop to d3. We have a6 by black, preparing some expansion on the queen side, and a4. Vincent prevents this. Knight to h5 now, hoping to get this f5 move in while Vincent's king is still in the center, and Vincent doesn't allow it. He plays g4, doesn't really care about messing up the pawn structure in front of his king, as black already also castled king side. We have knight back to f6 by Paco, and now bishop to f4. A nice developing move. The bishop also has a safe square on g3 now, and the d6 pawn might be a bit of a nuisance for black, as white might decide to go for some maneuvers like knight to d2 to c4 to pressure the d6 pawn. But with knight to e8 now, preparing f5 this way, and the g4 also works as a you know, further insurance that black doesn't play f5. And here there is one game in the database where queen to e2 was played, but here we have queen to d2 by Vincent, and now we have a completely new game on our hands. So knight to d7, with ideas of maybe going knight to e5, but also with ideas of pushing c4 and going knight to c5. And here you could go for bishop h6 right away, but then queen to f6 is a bit of a problem for white, as the knight on f3 is undefended due to this g4 move. And now if captures, then black is faster. You're already threatening to capture the rook on h1 with check. So Vincent first castles, and now h5. And here it's a very interesting moment. Who's busting whose defenses here with h5? Is white under attack here or black? Well, we'll just have to see. We have g captures on h5, and now not capturing immediately, but first knight to e5. Threatening knight captures on f3, the knight is still undefended, which would lose white the queen. So Vincent has to react to this. We have knight captures on e5, d captures on e5, and now bishop to g5, attacking the queen here. f6 by black, pushing the bishop back, bishop to e3, and now you do have a couple of options to choose from. You could go bishop captures on h3, you could go g captures on h5, but Paco goes for the most interesting line, and it's one of the reasons why I also decided to show this game, c4. And here Vincent has to make a choice. Does he want to go back with bishop to e2, which seems to be the safest choice, or does he want to capture on c4, grabbing more material and allowing knight to d6 and more activity for black? Vincent decides to go for the bravest choice. Bishop captures on c4, and now comes knight to d6, attacking the bishop here. And now again Vincent has to make a choice. Does he wants to go back and go for this bishop captures on h3 line, rook e1 and f5, giving black a whole lot of activity, or does he want to go for the one that he chose, queen to e2, just defending the bishop here. And now again, it's not only defending the bishop, but it's also an attacking move, because if Paco decides to go for bishop captures on h3, now you go h captures on g6, and you have this very clear path to victory, and black, it will be very hard for black to defend this. So after queen to e2, Paco doesn't waste time with this bishop captures on h3 idea, rather he goes f5. And now you don't have time for this. If you go for this now, then you get queen to h4. And now what do you do? If e captures on f5, just bishop captures on f5, and after bishop to d3, it's hard to defend. Your queen constantly has to keep an eye on this bishop. After bishop d3, you get e4. And now after you go back, just rook to f6, rook will capture on g6, and it's game over for white. So Vincent cannot go for any slow plays here after f5. Here Vincent plays f4, and Paco just jumps into the attack with the queen to h4. And now again, your queen is still protecting this bishop here. You don't really have a good way of defending the h3 pawn. Queen to g3 check is an idea. So this is how Vincent goes about it. He plays bishop to c5, just pins that knight as the rook is still on f8, but it's not really pinning it, since if knight captures bishop and the queen is not protecting it, then it's a problem. You will win 2 bishops for a rook. Which is not something you want to do, but there was no better way. Here, queen to g3 was played by Paco, and now if you defend it, now it's just 2 bishops for a rook. You can just exchange queens, knight captures, and now after captures you will simply capture here, and you've won 2 bishops for a rook, which is of course better for the side that grabbed the 2 bishops. So here Vincent decides to go king to h1, and now we have just queen captures on h3. And here's the problem. Now Vincent loses another pawn, and he has to block with the queen. The problem is he can't repeat moves here, because queen g3 check, king h1, Paco will not repeat queen h3 check. He will go queen to h4 check, and after king g1, e captures on f4. And now, after bishop captures on d6, yes, you do win the knight and attack the rook, but here comes bishop to d4 check. Rook has to block, and now f captures on e4, and you get this massive attack for just a piece basically, and it will be very hard for white to defend here. For example, if you grab the rook, then it's over. Queen g3 check, king f1, and now even bishop to h3 check is coming. King e1, now just bishop captures with check, captures with check. King d2, king d1, or even better than that, just blocking with the queen. You have to make some room for your king. Queen captures with check, queen to d1, now just queen captures, king captures, and rook captures bishop, defending the pawn here. And now you have 2 connected pass pawns. You are up 2 pawns, and it will be an easily winning endgame for black. So the few options that are here aren't all that great for Vincent. So Vincent decides just to block with the queen, and now Paco just grabs the queen and the 2 bishops. With queen captures on h2, king captures, and now knight captures on c4. Bishop captures on f8, king captures on f8, and now h captures on g6 by Vincent. It's a very nice pawn, but you know, you're still down 2 bishops for a rook. E captures on f4, we have e captures on f5, bishop captures on f5, and now rook a to e1. And Paco doesn't mind. He wants to trade rooks and enjoy his bishop pair, with white having as few the pieces on the board as possible. Rook captures on e8, king captures on e8, rook e1 check, and now just bishop to e5. Seems like a blunder, because b3 can just kick away the defender of the bishop, but then knight e3, and you're still not gaining anything along the e file. So we have knight to d1 now, defending the pawn here. And also if knight e3, then knight can capture it now, but bishop captures on g6. Paco now grabs even more material, and now you can see that the 2 bishops are simply too powerful. King to g2 with bishop to c2, and now king to f3. We have king to d7, getting out of the e file, and now knight to f2. We have king to d6, and now comes rook to c1, attacking the bishop, but now just knight to e3. And it was in this position on move 36, before even reaching time control, that Vincent Keymer resigned the game. Even though he had over 5 minutes on the clock, and Paco had, I believe, a minute and a half, but it's enough. This position plays itself. King's just going to grab the d5 pawn, then you're just going to pick up all the other pawns here, and white has no counterplay. Let's say knight e4 check, you just pick it up, knight c3, king c4, you're gonna go to b3, you're gonna win the b2 pawn, and it's all over. So yeah, after this knight e3 move, Vincent resigned the game, and a very nice victory for Paco here, who played a brilliant attacking game, especially since he chose that line with c4, where Vincent had to make a choice whether he wants to go bishop e2 or capture on c4. He just allowed black a lot of activity, and all of a sudden, without even knowing where white went wrong, found himself on the losing side of this attack. Which is what usually happens when you play against the Benoni, if you don't play well against the Benoni. But yeah, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it, and we do have the standings after the final round, and I made a mistake in the previous video. I told you that Maxime Vachier-Lagrave clinched 3rd place, but it's actually Magnus Carlsen first with 7.5, then Fabiano Caruana with 6, and then Arkady Naidich has better additional criteria, so he's 3rd with 5 points. Then Maxime Vachier-Lagrave with 5, then 3 of them with 4.5, Vishwanathan Anand, Peter Svidler, Levon Aronian, and then Francisco Vallejo Pons with 4, and then Georg Meyer and Vincent Keymer with 2 points. So it seems Vincent finished last, but he did grab 2 points, and it's not just any 2 points. He won a game against Georg Meyer and also drew games against Levon Aronian and Peter Svidler. If you draw against Peter Svidler and Levon Aronian, doesn't matter what you do with the rest of your games. It's still a great tournament, especially for Vincent, who is well, about 300 rating points lower rated than anyone else here, and 100 rating points lower rated as, I don't know, Georg Meyer is 2600 and Vincent is 2500. So even Meyer is almost 200 rating points lower rated than everyone else, and Vincent is even 100 rating points lower rated than Meyer. So I think 2 points out of 9 is an excellent achievement for young Vince. But yeah, once again, that's the game. I do hope you enjoyed it, and I would like to thank Charles Cotton, Miguel Martinez Chapa, Barry McMurdoch, Charles Adelman, and Daniel Binder for a contribution to my channel. Thank you a lot, I really appreciate it. As usual, you can check 2 of my previous videos here. Thank you all for watching, and I will see you soon, continuing the Capablanca saga, as we do have to finish that, a few more games in the Rice tournament in New York, and then we are perhaps checking up another tournament. We'll see about that, and then we're going to Lasker versus Capablanca, the match. So yeah, thank you all. I will see you soon, and have an excellent rest of your day.